All right, what's up, everybody? Today we're going to be ranking every single live action Godzilla movie from best to worst. And this is a redo of a video I already uploaded, but I just wasn't very happy with the quality of it, so we're going to be doing it again here. So we're going to have S tier, A, B, C, D, F, and we're going to just jump right into it, starting off with the original Godzilla 1954. This movie is a masterpiece. It's going straight into S tier. Nobody's going to argue with that. It started the entire franchise, a 70-year franchise, which is still going to this day. It's just a great film. It captured the anxiety at the time over nuclear weapons, which is something that we still have anxiety about to this day, and rightfully so. It also commentated on the Lucky Dragon nuclear disaster. Um, and yeah, it's just a great movie going straight into S tier. All right, and next we have the Godzilla Raids Again, which was the sequel, came out just a year later. Almost the total opposite of the original Godzilla movie. Big downgrade in quality. Um, a lot of the fight scenes are like sped up on accident, and they didn't have the budget to fix it. So you get a lot of like really cheesy stuff, and it's just overall pretty boring. And it's not one of my favorites, so I'm gonna go ahead and put it into D tier. Um, yeah. Okay, moving on is King Kong versus Godzilla. Now, this movie is iconic. It's the first Godzilla movie to be in color. It's also the first Godzilla movie to not take itself seriously, so it's intentionally a comedy. Really, really funny. Uh, Great action scenes. The suits look good. I really like Godzilla's suit in this one. King Kong looks a little derpy, but it's fun. It's a fun movie, and I think it's gonna go in B tier. Yeah, seems good. Okay, another great entry in the Showa era is the iconic Mothra versus Godzilla. This one's going into A tier. It's great. It's one of the best movies of the Showa era. It's introduced Mothra, who's obviously like one of the most iconic Godzilla characters in the entire franchise. Great, great movie. Um, it takes itself a little bit more seriously again compared to like King Kong versus Godzilla. Um, it's got good human characters, a good story, really great action scenes. I love the fight between Mothra and Godzilla. The one little nitpick I have about this is that for some reason Godzilla is like drunk throughout most of the movie. And what I mean by that is that he's like constantly falling over and running into buildings and tripping and falling. And it's kind of funny, but yeah, it's a great movie. Okay, next we have uh, this is what's this one called? King Kong, no, King Ghidorah, the three-headed dragon. This one's good. I don't like it as much as some people do, but it is a great Showa era movie. It introduced Godzilla's main antagonist, which is King Ghidorah. I love King Ghidorah. I always play as him in the video games. He's awesome. Um, the thing I don't like about this movie as much is that it's a little too silly for me. I don't like that the monsters are like talking to each other, and Rodan's suit is like really, really derpy. Um, but it's a great movie. I'm going to personally put it into B tier. And then one of my favorite Showa era movies, which is Invasion of Astro Monster, or Godzilla vs. Monster Zero, as I knew it as a kid. This is one of my favorites. I think, personally, in my opinion, it's like everything Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster was, but just better. It does use a little bit of stock footage, but I don't think that detracts from the movie. I love the sci-fi, like 70s space setting. I love that we see Godzilla like fighting in space, and you get that iconic like victory jump that he does, and I just love the vibe of the movie. I'm gonna put it into A tier. Okay, next is Ebera Horror of the Deep, also known as Godzilla versus the Sea Monster. This one is not one of the better Showa era movies in my opinion. It's a little bit on the slow side. Godzilla fights basically like a giant crab, and it's not that interesting. This movie was also originally intended to be a King Kong film, and then at last second they changed it to be Godzilla. So it's off vibe a little bit. Like it has this tropical setting. Godzilla's like obsessed with a girl, like as if he's King Kong or something. But it is fun. It's a good one to watch every now and then. It's not bad. So for me, I'm gonna put it in C tier. Okay, now first of the Godzilla movies that I just straight up do not like is Son of Godzilla. Um, the beginning of the movie, when it's just the human characters, oddly enough, I think the movie is actually pretty entertaining. I like the humans like trying to deal with these giant ant bug things. But as soon as Godzilla and baby Godzilla show up, Manila, it's bad. Manila is just a terribly designed character. He looks nothing like a baby Godzilla. He looks like a failed abortion attempt or something. He does not look good. And same with Godzilla. His suit design is, I think, the worst suit in the entire franchise. His face is just like someone hit him in the head with a frying pan or something. Um, yeah, not a good Godzilla movie. It's going into F tier for terrible. All right, so I believe this is Godzilla Destroy All Monsters. This one is a good Godzilla movie. I did not see this one growing up, so I do not have nostalgia for it, but I saw it later on when I was going through all the Godzilla movies and watching every single one of them, and I enjoyed this one a lot. It's a little slow, but it makes up for it in the end. You get like that huge monster brawl with like every single Godzilla character to date, including some new ones that make a little cameo. And King Ghidorah gets absolutely curb stomped and destroyed, and it's kind of sad to see him get ganged up on so bad. But I'm gonna put this one in A tier. All right, now this is the worst Godzilla movie in existence. This is Godzilla All Monsters Attack, or Godzilla's Revenge, as I knew it. It's just a bunch of stock footage cobbled together into a movie with the movie was supposed to be a message about childhood bullying and how to stand up to your enemies and stuff like that. It just does not work, in my opinion. The little kid is super, super annoying, especially if you watched it in English like I did as a kid. I've actually never watched the Japanese sub, so if that makes it a little bit more tolerable, maybe this could move up to D tier, but for now, it's definitely F tier. Um, do not watch this movie unless you are like trying to watch every single Godzilla movie. Otherwise, just completely skip over it. It's terrible. Okay, Godzilla versus Hedorah, also known as Godzilla versus the Smog Monster. This one's that like really weird one with a lot of trippy 70s acid induced visuals, and Hedorah like flying over people and they just turn into skeletons, and it's probably the strangest Godzilla movie, which is saying a lot. Um, it's not bad, but it's not great either. I think it's going to go in C tier. It's just kind of a bizarre movie, and yeah, I don't think much of it. I'm kind of indifferent to it. So C tier is my go for that. Okay, Godzilla versus Gigan. A lot of people do not like this movie. I'm one of the people who do likes this movie. I like Gigan. He's one of the coolest Godzilla characters in my opinion. I mean, how can you not like a guy that's got like a freaking chainsaw on his stomach and he shoots laser beams out of his eyes and he's got like scythes for hands and he's just so wacky. And you get King Ghidorah in this. I think it has good fight scenes. I like the human characters. They're all kind of fun to watch interact with each other, and yeah, I like this movie. I don't think it's as bad as some people think it is, so I'm gonna put it into B tier. Okay, now Godzilla versus Megalon is probably one of the most controversial Godzilla movies because it's one of those you love it or you hate it kind of movies. It's super, super cheesy and campy. So if you like that, it's probably going to be one of your favorites. If you don't like that, it's probably going to be one of your least favorites. Um, I'm going to put it in C tier because I feel like it's like yeah, it just fits right in the middle. It's like if you like campiness, then you like the movie. If you don't like campiness, then you don't like the movie. Megalon is a funny monster. Gigan returns. The thing that I do not like about this movie is Jet Jaguar. I'm sorry. I know a lot of people have like their fan base over Jet Jaguar. I just can't stand him. He just looks like a wannabe Ultraman, which is basically what he was because Ultraman at the time that this movie came out was super super popular in Japan, and they were trying to kind of capitalize off of that. So, but you do get the iconic drop kick, thing where Godzilla defies all physics and flies through the air. Okay, this is Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla. This one is iconic. Everybody knows Mechagodzilla, even if they've never seen a Godzilla movie. It's just one of those Godzilla characters that everybody knows. This one's good. I'm not a huge fan of King Caesar or Caesar, however you say it. I just don't like his design personally, and the song, like the Caesar song, is pretty annoying. But the action scenes, like the fight scenes, are some of the best the Showa era has to offer, and Mechagodzilla is super super cool. I actually prefer over all the other iterations of Mechagodzilla. I prefer this original Showa era Mechagodzilla design. So I'm gonna put the original Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla into B tier. So the reason it's in B tier is because of Terra Mechagodzilla, which personally I like better. And I'm gonna put it into A tier. Titanosaurus is cool. You get even better action scenes, in my opinion. You get that really cool introduction to Godzilla where he shows up almost like a sumo wrestler and like the lights shine on him and he stands up and gives a iconic roar and yeah, it's also nostalgia. I never saw Mechagodzilla as a kid. I only had Terror of Mechagodzilla on VHS, so it is a bit of nostalgia bias for sure. But for me, this is my list, so it's going into A tier. Okay, now we're at the beginning of the Heisei era, so we're going into the 80s and 90s, and we're starting off with Godzilla Returns or Godzilla 1985. This one's good. It's not great. It's a little bit slow in my opinion. I also felt like there was a good chunk of the movie where Godzilla wasn't really in the movie, particularly when he gets kind of knocked out by the I forget what it's called, but you guys know what I'm talking about, like the spaceship thing that like has a freeze ray and stuff on it, like the super something. It like knocks him out and he like falls onto a skyscraper and he just sort of sits there for like what felt like too long. It's probably not that long, but it is good. His suit is good. It is a little derpy, like his eyes go kind of cross-eyed sometimes, and it looks a little goofy. But the wide shots are really cool to look at, and it did bring Godzilla into like at the time the modern era, into the Heisei era. So I'm gonna put it into B tier. Also, just letting you guys know that these movies are just ranked by tier, not like individually in each tier, if you know what I'm saying. Like because Mothra is here doesn't mean that it's therefore better than Invasion of Astro Monster or Destroy All Monsters. It's just like tiered. All right. Godzilla versus Biolante. Sorry. Godzilla versus Biolante is one of my all-time favorite Godzilla movies. Um, I really, really like it. It was the only Heisei movie I had as a kid, so it's like if you could imagine mostly only seeing Showa era movies and then you watch Biolante, it's like such a jump in quality and such a change in like aesthetic and vibe because the Heisei movies are generally like a bit darker and a little bit more serious and have a bit more violence. Um, so this movie was just awesome to watch as a kid, and it's still awesome to watch now. Biolante is just a super cool design, giant, grotesque like plant thing that's inspired by a Little Shop of Horrors. Yeah, I love this movie. It's going into A tier for sure. Now, Godzilla versus King Ghidorah, the first of the kind of remakes of the Heisei movies. Some people really love this movie. I am not like a huge fan of it, and the reason is that it's just too bonkers. I don't like the time travel stuff. I don't like the Terminator ripoff guy. There's that scene where he's like running past the cars, and it looks really, really goofy. Um, I don't like that King Ghidorah is kind of like born out of these little plushy monsters for some reason. There's just too much weird stuff going on in this movie for me to really like it. But that stuff aside, like the parts that are really, really good about this movie are the suits are like top notch. The design for King Ghidorah is probably the best design for him in the entire franchise, and the action scenes. It's the Heisei era, so obviously like they're really good. So I'm gonna put it into. I'm gonna put it in C tier. I'm sorry, like the all that good stuff doesn't really make up for the fact in my mind that it's just a super weird movie that's like impossible to follow. Okay, Godzilla versus Mothra, um, something Earth. Um, okay, this movie's good. In my opinion, it's actually better than Godzilla versus King Ghidorah. Um, it's Heisei era, so you get that really really awesome Heisei Godzilla suit. You get the flashy fight scenes with the laser beams going back and lots of pyrotechnics and explosions and stuff. And I really like it. Mothra's awesome. Batra's not too like unique of a concept, but it works and it's still cool. So I'm gonna put it into B tier. All right, so now we come to my favorite of the Heisei era. Um, well, maybe that's Biolante, but this is one of my favorites. Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2. Uh, I think, unless this changed recently, this movie has the most Godzilla screen time of any Godzilla movie. So you get a lot of Godzilla, you get a lot of action, um, a lot of monster stuff, which is always good. Nobody wants to watch a Godzilla movie to watch like a bunch of people talking about politics. They want to see like the Godzilla action, and this movie delivers on that. And it has some of the best practical effects. And Mechagodzilla's suit is cool. In my opinion, it's definitely a downgrade from the Showa era, but it's still iconic. I'm gonna put it into A tier. All right, Godzilla versus Space Godzilla. A lot of people kind of rag on this movie as like the weakest of the Heisei. And while I think that that could be true, personally, I think Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah is the weakest of the Heisei. Um, uh, Space Godzilla is not as bad as some people act like it is, in my opinion. I think it's a good movie. Space Godzilla has a dumb name, but his design is really cool, and he was always fun to play as in the video game Godzilla Save the Earth, and I really like this one, so I'm gonna put it into B tier. Okay, Godzilla vs. Destroya is a fan favorite. Everybody loves this movie. I love this movie. It's great. Destroya is super super badass. Great fight scenes. I won't spoil it, but some stuff happens in this movie that was really impactful for the series at the time. You get to see Godzilla like melting down and becoming like nuclearly critical. He's gonna explode and destroy the whole planet. Uh, so high stakes. It's gonna go in A tier. And the other thing I like about this movie is that you see a lot of like ground level carnage, like because the little baby destroyers, I don't, they probably have like a name, but like the little guys that go after the humans and stuff, it's kind of like refreshing to see more ground level action that involves like people, because you don't see that too often in the series. So it kind of made it feel like more of like a traditional B movie, like monster movie. Okay, now we come to Godzilla 1998. Um, so everybody has a take on this movie. Most people think it's the worst Godzilla movie. I don't. In my opinion, Godzilla's Revenge is the worst Godzilla movie. Um, I don't like Godzilla 1998, but it's definitely not as bad as some people act like it is. For me, it wasn't even really the design of Godzilla in this movie that made it me not like it. It was more like the plot and the human characters and just how annoying everything was. Um, and uh, I actually really like Godzilla's design, but I don't like Godzilla as a character. So like Godzilla in this movie is like a scared little animal that wants to run away and wants nothing to do with people, and it eats fish and is a girl and lays eggs, and it was just kind of like a total departure from the actual Godzilla character. So I'm gonna put it into D tier. Um, Most people would probably put it in F tier, but um, there is a bit of nostalgia for me. I did watch it when I was a kid, and I honestly liked it as a kid. As I've gotten older, I've definitely looked back on it more negatively. It's definitely not a great Matthew Broderick movie. Um, so, okay, enough said about that. So, now we're into the Millennium era with Godzilla 2000. I really like Godzilla 2000, and I love his suit design. It's honestly my favorite suit for Godzilla. I really like his big, exaggerated dorsal spines and his new color scheme being more kind of green and having like the red atomic breath. I just think he looks really badass. And I like Orga. He's cool. I wish we saw a little bit more of him. Most of the movie, he's just kind of like his little flying saucer, which admittedly looks like a giant flying turd. Um, but at the end of the movie, you get a lot of payoff. That final fight scene where Orga's like trying to absorb Godzilla, and so he can like clone him essentially. That made up for it in my mind. So um, I'm gonna put Godzilla 2000 into A tier. Yeah, I just think it's a really good one. Okay, Godzilla versus Megaguirus. Um, this is one of those movies that a lot of people hate, and personally, I never understood why it got so much hate. Like, it's definitely not a great Godzilla movie, but it's not one of the worst either. Not even close. Like, I think it's better than most of these movies in C tier here. But I am gonna put it in C tier. It's definitely got some flaws. It's got a very strange, hard to follow plot with like black holes and all that stuff. But I mean, it's Godzilla, so that's kind of part of it. Um, Megaguirus, I think, is a pretty cool looking monster. Personally, I like that we have the return of the Millennium suit, which, like I said, is my favorite suit. Um, but there is some goofiness with the fight scenes, some choppy, like weird frame rate stuff that I didn't like, and the body slam was kind of out of character for the Millennium era and also the Heisei era. It was more kind of like the Showa era, so I guess it stood out, but it's not really that weird for Godzilla in general, though. Okay, so that's C tier. All right. Sorry. This is the one with the really long name, GMK, Godzilla, Mothra, King Ghidorah, All Out Monsters Attack, or whatever it is. GMK. This is a really good Godzilla movie. People love this one. I thought it was really good too. I need to watch it again because I've only seen it once, and I actually watched it over the internet with my girlfriend during COVID, and it was the first Godzilla movie I ever showed her. Actually, I think she enjoyed it for what it was, but like I wasn't paying full attention to it, so I definitely need to give it a rewatch. But what I did see of it, yeah, I did watch the whole thing. I thought it was really good. I liked the redesign for Godzilla. I like the concept of him being like this angry spirit that is born out of like the people who died in World War II, I think. Um, so that's a unique take on Godzilla as a character, and you like to see that because it's not often that the character gets like reborn as like a new thing. So and Baragon's cute. So now we're on to this is Godzilla against Mechagodzilla. So the third Godzilla redesign, or fourth if you count like the Terror of Mechagodzilla, but it's the exact same thing. Um, I really like Kiru, I think is what they call him. The Mechagodzilla redesign. He looks super badass. I like it more than the Super Mechagodzilla from the Heisei era movies, but not as much as the original. But this one's really good. It has a lot of great practical effects. I'm gonna put it in B tier. Great suit design. It's like the Millennium suit, but with like a darker color scheme, which I thought is really cool. And I believe he has like blue atomic breath again. Um, yeah, it's a great one. And then also we have Godzilla Tokyo SOS, which I'm gonna put that as well into B tier. It's another really solid Godzilla movie with some of the best of the practical effects. Because after this movie, well, after Final Wars, they stopped doing practical effects. So if you want to see like the perfection, all right, sorry about that. Um, so yeah, Mechagodzilla, Tokyo SOS, great movie. And it was the pinnacle of the practical effects before they started moving away from that. Okay, so Godzilla Final Wars, not my cup of tea. Some people really like this movie. It's another one of those like you love it or you hate it kind of ones, because this one's like crazy balls to the wall action. Like Godzilla's like fighting a monster like every 10 seconds, and they only last like 10 seconds. Even the human characters get on in on the action. They're like these souped up like ninja superheroes, almost jumping on top of Ebera and like shooting them and stuff. It's just crazy. I'm not like a big fan of it. It's like a little bit too high octane for me. So I'm gonna put it into C tier. It's not terrible, but it's not really one of my favorites. Okay, so then we would come to the 10-year hiatus, and then we would come back to Godzilla, this time being in America for Godzilla 2014, the first of the Monsterverse movies. And it was good. It was a good movie. And the criticisms, everybody kind of criticizes the movie for not really having enough Godzilla screen time, too many cutaways, so they would kind of like build up a scene that was about to happen, and then they'd like cut away from it. And that, like, once or twice, it kind of builds anticipation, but when you do it like 5 times, it's annoying. And it's kind of like lackluster. So, but this was a good movie. So I'm gonna put it into B tier. Personally, I think most of the MonsterVerse movies are gonna be like within the B tier range, because I'm somebody who prefers like the Japanese Toho movies. Um, but it is like a solid Godzilla movie for sure. Okay, Godzilla, Shin Godzilla, the first of the Reiwa Toho movies. Complete redesign of Godzilla. He's this like grotesque mutant creature that evolves as the movie goes on, and he has like this new kind of horrifying appearance to him. And this movie was kind of about government incompetence. It was an allegory for the Fukushima nuclear disaster. So much more serious Godzilla movie. It's going into S tier. One of the best Godzilla movies ever. Definitely check it out if you have not watched it yet. Yeah. Okay, so I have not seen these animated Godzilla movies, so we're gonna skip over those for now. So the second of the MonsterVerse Godzilla movies, this was Godzilla King of the Monsters. Um, I'm gonna put it into C tier. Personally, I think it's the weakest of the MonsterVerse movies. Mainly because the human characters were not so great in this movie. The action scenes were pretty good, though. It was great to see King Ghidorah and Rodan and Mothra. That was definitely pretty badass to see them like redesigned in modern CGI and everything. Um, all right, I have not watched Monarch. I have not seen whatever this is. Okay, so Godzilla versus Kong is, in my opinion, the best of the MonsterVerse movies. It's not my personal favorite, but like objectively speaking, from like a critical standpoint, I think it is the best of the MonsterVerse movies. So I'm gonna put it into B tier. Um, it still doesn't like come quite to the level of A tier. I think the A and above is kind of for me like reserved for the Toho movies. But it's definitely a really great MonsterVerse movie. It was cool to see Mechagodzilla, but I didn't really like his design. But I loved that we got much more like front and center action scenes that weren't like obscured by rain or it being dark or anything. It was just broad daylight. Godzilla versus Kong. There it is. All right. Coming to the end of this video, we have Godzilla minus one. Everybody knows this is going straight up into S tier. This is probably the best Godzilla movie ever, aside from the original Godzilla movie in 1954. Um, Okay, there's going to be a little cut in the video again because I did not realize that I hit the mute button on my new mic here. So I'm going to have to be careful about that. As I was saying, though, everybody needs to see Godzilla Minus One. It is the best Godzilla movie since the original, and it's a great movie. It has amazing acting, amazing story, and you know it's a great Godzilla movie when people walk out of the theater who have never even seen a Godzilla movie, and they walk out of the theater with a tear in their eye because this movie's sad. But yeah, definitely check it out. If there's only one Godzilla movie that you watch in your entire life, it should be Godzilla Minus One. And so finally, we come to the end. We come to Godzilla X Kong, Godzilla Kong, however you want to say it, the new empire. This was the total opposite of Godzilla Minus One. Not in quality, just in tone. Um, it's a super silly Godzilla movie that does not take itself very seriously. It's just a lot of action, a lot of funny, cool stuff, a lot of fun. I liked it a lot. And it was great to see two Godzilla movies come out in the same year that were so polar opposite from each other. And I guess it just goes to show like how versatile of a character Godzilla really can be. But I'm gonna put it into B tier. And so that concludes our ranking of every single live action Godzilla movie to date. So in S tier, we have the original Godzilla, we have Shin Godzilla, we have Godzilla Minus One, and then some of the ones we have here in A tier are Mothra versus Godzilla, Godzilla versus Biollante, Godzilla 2000. In a B tier, we have most of the MonsterVerse movies and the Heisei era. C tier, we've got the very strange Godzilla versus Hedorah. We've got the controversial Godzilla versus Megalon. And we have the weakest of the MonsterVerse movies, in my opinion, Godzilla King of the Monsters. In D tier, we have the shameful Godzilla 98. And in F tier, we have the two worst Godzilla movies of the entire franchise, Son of Godzilla and Godzilla All Monsters Attack. So that just about does it, guys. Thanks so much for checking out this video. Thanks for watching all the way to the end. And I also want to say thanks for all the support. This is kind of a new channel. It's not new channel, but I'm taking it in a new direction. And I got a lot of support, a lot of comments, likes, and new subscribers from my two Godzilla video essays. So thank you guys so much for watching that and showing your support for that. More of that kind of stuff to come. I want to do more video essays, but I am going to be branching out beyond just Godzilla. So we'll be covering other movie franchises, video game franchises, things like that. I'm also going to start doing some Let's Plays. So let me know maybe in the comments like what kind of video games you'd like me to play through. There's some I have in mind. But yeah, just thanks so much for the support. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks.